It's great to see we've got 15 people so far on the Hangout, on the webinar. My name's Lou Jury, and with me is Brendan Lidster, who's our SEO manager here at Reload. We might wait for another couple of seconds just to see if anybody else is going to jump online. But yeah, look, thanks guys for coming along and hearing about all things SEO. On the right-hand side of your webinar screen, you've got there an area where you can chat. So feel free to ask us any questions. What we're going to do today is talk about the latest in SEO. Look, please write your questions for later, and we can get through it. And I'll also be asking Brendan some questions as well. So over to you, Brendan. I'm just going to click over into the PowerPoint screen here so you can get started, and I'll let you go. So
awesome.
Over to you, Brendan.
Thank you very much, Lewis. So I've got a few things I wanted to talk with you guys today. Firstly, as Lewis kind of introduced, Lou's with us today. He's an Managing Director of Reload, and then myself, so I head up the SEO team here. So there's 4 key things we thought that you guys would be most interested in. And mainly it's around those core things that make up SEO. So the first thing we want to talk about was killer content success. So if you have had some exposure to SEO, you will know that content is changing quite a bit. So we want to talk about how to create and manage that content to make sure that you do get that SEO success that you're looking for. The other thing we want to talk about was link building in 2016. So mostly understanding link building, how it's changed, and why you do need to go that little bit further with link building and get that premium level link building to get the results you're looking for. The third thing we're going to touch on is just remembering that technical SEO still works. So it's great to get all wrapped up in the content marketing side of things with that content and the link building, but making sure that there are still some technical SEO improvements you can make to get those results that you're looking for. And the last thing we wanted to touch on there is remembering the whole of site strategy there. So just remembering that engaging websites are sometimes your best SEO tactic, and how to make sure that we build websites to get that SEO success, and how that kind of translates into direct results. So why have we chosen these topics? Well, if you are new to SEO, there's something we kind of use at Reload here called the SEO pyramid. It's a great way of breaking down SEO into those core components that we try and affect in order to get those rankings increases. And with this pyramid, you can kind of see there, it is very much based making sure that we do get those fundamentals first. So you can't achieve success in one until you've done the other. So your technical is very much your foundation level there. And then content is very much the guts of it. So making sure that you do have something that people actually want to read and be on the web for. It's the main reason people search for stuff, not to be presented overly SEO websites, but actually to find an answer to their question or be entertained or informed. And the last bit there is making sure that you do have links and other signals. So that's kind of like those thumbs up and that endorsement for your website. And it's how Google understands how important your website is on the internet. So it's really key to make sure that you do check off all those things there. So answering the content part, we are focusing on that killer content success component there. Link building in 2016 will target those links and other signals aspect and make sure that's all checked off. And then lastly, we want to make sure that we are still meeting that technical base there, making sure that Google can crawl and understand your website. So making sure we do kind of touch on that bit as well, and just focusing on what we can do there. And lastly, and I'll put a bit of a halo around this one there because this is becoming more and more of an important thing. So engaging websites are really your best SEO tactic, and it's because they encompass all of these components in one. That they are often a new website can be a really beneficial aspect for your SEO. So without further ado, let's kick off with killer content success. So how do we create and manage that killer content for your SEO success? So I thought I'd give you a bit of an example. If you are new to the internet and you've never found some terribly SEO websites before, of what SEO content used to look like. And I'll put that in inverted commas because that really is what the focus of content used to be. So no points for guessing what this web page is trying to rank for. possibly fire pits, possibly fire pit tables. So you can kind of see that they've definitely gone for a keyword focused approach there. They've put the keyword in there lots of times. And that did used to work. That used to be when Google was a much simpler kind of machine. It was what it looked for. So key consideration once was keyword density. And you can kind of see that there, where people would go for a certain percentage of their content would be keywords that they're trying to rank for, because that's what Google will look for as well. Because it was a very simple sort of system where it would assume that the content with the most keywords must be the most relevant, and therefore must deserve to rank number one. So from that, we got a whole bunch of terrible content on the internet that's still out there today. But that is quickly changing, and producing this content won't have the same success it used to. Length of copy is another key consideration. And these are all things that still have an impact. So it's important not to forget that these are aspects of it, but going head first with these points is the wrong approach to content. And making sure it's unique, that was another aspect there. So really unique content was just content that wasn't exactly the same as anything else out there. This content here could be based on another piece of content that's almost identical, but we've changed enough keywords that Google hasn't picked it up. So we can see that there's two things that we're looking for with SEO content. We want it to be relevant, and we also want it to be engaging. And relevance used to be the only metric, but engagement's becoming more and more important. And this approach to content for SEO is not effective anymore because it isn't engaging. If you land on this website, unless you really like the word fire pits, you're probably not going to stay and read the whole article. You're probably going to find it very jarring and a terrible user experience. So you can definitely say that this page is not an engaging example.
I was just going to say, I think even if you liked fire pits, you might even bounce out of that one as well, Brendan. You know, there's no pictures, there's no relevancy to the copy. There's a lot of problems with that, isn't there?
That's exactly it. So I think it's not engaging.
It's not engaging.
That's 100% the issue there. And back in the day, that probably wouldn't have been an issue because Google didn't care about engagement. It really just cared about making sure that the keywords were in there, because the more keywords, it must be more relevant, and people must want to read this more than any other fire pit related web page.
And that wasn't too long ago. That's 2012. Isn't it? So things have changed a lot.
They have, and that's the thing with SEO. It is very rapidly moving. So I wanted to show you what a bad example looks like, but also what a good example looks like. And I'm gonna flip to this actual web page.
Well, let's try and log on. You're going to try and just go into our sharing screen capability here. We'll go over there and just see how. Okay. There we go. We're on there. Let's. You're probably going to see us diving. Hello, everybody. Now we're going to just go back to there and screen share it again. So it's this one here, isn't it, Brendan?
Yeah,
this one. So let's remove us and put something good up there. There we go. Right.
All right. So hopefully everyone can kind of see that there, and I'll just check that is working. Yep, sweet. All right. So basically, this is a piece of content. And I'll use this example throughout today's presentation. And this is a piece of content about a restaurant called Kachka in Portland, in Oregon. And it's an example of what we call 10 times content. So it's content that is 10 times better than anything else out there. And you'd be hard pressed to find a review or an about us page for this restaurant that outdoes this. So what makes it better? Well, for starters, there's plenty of content on there. It's telling a story. It's telling a timeline story. You can see over here on the left, we've got a bit of an innovative approach there where as we're scrolling down this content, it's engaging. So it's giving you a bit of a timeline of what it's like to work or be in this restaurant, and exactly some key metrics there as you go through. It provides heaps of storytelling, and it really is, a great piece of content. It's obviously not cheap to produce this content, so there are other ways you can do 10 times content, but you can basically see that this far and away would be the best example of content for this website. It's definitely 10 times better than anything else out there for this restaurant. So we'll just flip back now that we've got a bit of a feel for what that is.
Let's go back into us again, and then we'll go back to, where was it, the PowerPoint showing. There we go.
Cool.
Great. I'll click over on here for you, mate. There you go.
Cheers. So we can definitely see with that piece of content, it's definitely relevant. It's packed full of content. and it's all related to the restaurant and what it's about. And it's definitely engaging as well. So you can kind of see there's a couple of key metrics, and I've got the Moz bar installed when I took this screenshot. So 3,404 Facebook shares. So you could probably draw the conclusion that people who land on this page like it, they probably stay on the page and they'd read it in full. And over 600 Twitter shares and that kind of stuff. So we can see that this checks both the boxes. It's both relevant and engaging. So yeah, as I said, it's content that's 10 times better than anything else out there. This kind of concept was coined by Rand Fishkin, who is a thought leader in the SEO space. And he's actually put together a document. So I'd recommend that you guys, after this presentation, go through to that URL there, and we'll provide a link to it, so it's a lot easier to get to. But this is a curated list of by Rand Fishkin of what he considers 10 times content, and you'll be able to look at. I think he's got 70 examples in there so far of content that's out there for some inspiration of what you can do in that space. So that's a quick overview of SEO content and where it's going to and what you should kind of be looking at. The next thing I wanted to touch on was link building in 2016. So a bit of a touch on what SEO link building used to be about, and it can still be about this, and that's a bit of a disclaimer I put there as well. So SEO link building used to really be just about quantity. So Google would look at the number of links to your site. It would consider things like page rank, but not as much as it does now. And it would look at, if it saw a high number of links to your sites, it would consider that a high number of endorsements and therefore consider you worthy of ranking, essentially. This is a very quantity heavy approach. It doesn't factor in quality as much. And you can see there, I've chucked up some classic directories there that really don't add anything to the internet except for a place to put links. And you can, if you read some of that copy there, it might be a bit small, but you can see on that first page of, say, a leading link directory there, that the intro content there is explaining exactly how you can get a link quickly approved and all that kind of stuff. It's not a place for people to actually go to. It doesn't really provide any value to the internet. And with Google as good as it is now, you don't really need to go to a directory to find, it's got categories on arts and crafts. You're not really going to end up on one of these directories to look for things that relate to your interest in arts and crafts. And you can kind of see there as well, I've got a bit of a screenshot for that leading link directory there called from Moz, and a domain authority of 28 out of 100. So domain authority talks about how valuable that website is based on the number of people linking to it as well. And 28 out of 100 would be kind of around what most small businesses would have on their website as a domain authority. So if you're just starting out, this is still a worthwhile tactic, and that's the kind of situation that would be helpful in. But if you're in a highly competitive industry and perhaps you already have a domain authority of 20 out of 100, getting these kind of links to your site is not going to have much of an impact anymore. And that's where the next sort of slide comes in. So this is link building in 2016, which the industry is calling digital PR. It checks the box for quantity and quality. So websites like, and I've provided a bit of a screenshot there for the Courier Mail. Websites like the Courier Mail have a domain authority of around 80 or so out of 100, which is considerably high. And if you're trying to go up in a highly competitive marketplace, let's say like furniture or something like that, you're going up against people like IKEA who have a domain authority of 90 something out of 100. You're going to have to pull out the big guns, and that's really the crux of it. So going out to news and including digital PR as part of your content marketing strategy is really key. And going out to say news sites and building relationships with journalists is going to be the only way to really go about this in the future. And that's exactly how you've got to do it. So you've got to build relationships with those journalists and key influencers. There's an element of being in the right place at the right time. And often that's quite a labor-intensive process. And it's definitely, digital PR is definitely in that basket. But there are ways to make life easier with this. So you'll probably, there are definitely, obviously, in a news day, there is a lot of new things that are unexpected happening. However, in any news cycle, there is an aspect of repetition across the year. So we know that Christmas happens at the same time every year. We know that the end of financial year happens at the same time every year. And the same kind of articles get written each and every year, and journalists are looking for subject matter experts to provide quotes and information and stats and figures to help reinforce the message that they're taking in their articles. So building those relationships with those journalists and planning your content marketing strategy around those news cycles and where you can provide that influence is definitely a really key approach to link building in this day and age.
Just quickly on that one, it does take time, doesn't it? It's
absolutely,
you know, and digital PR is very different to what SEO has sort of come from. I mean, you know, we used to at Reload have a lot of technical people working on SEO, and now we've got a lot of journalists that are qualified and all of that. You know, it's but those guys tell us that it takes a while to actually build that relationship with the Courier Mail, or the other channels to get it done. So SEO therefore takes longer than it used to, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. It takes a lot longer, which is one of those barriers to entry. However, it also is a competitive advantage because it is harder to do, or it's more time intensive and requires more patience. You will find that if you are persistent and you do stick it out, you actually have less to compete with now.
Sure.
So if you're clever with your strategy, you definitely can achieve a lot better results than you used to be able to by having a legitimate content marketing and SEO strategy.
Great. So the phrase that I've heard, Brendan, is that you know, one link on, say, the Courier Mail is worth 30 to 50 on those other directories.
Absolutely.
Or even more. You know.
It really does, and there's a huge amount of flow-on effect there. And I'll just go back to it, and this is an example where we actually got one of our clients on the Courier Mail. But what can really be achieved here is not just the SEO impact, but this type of article will get syndicated across all of News Limited's websites.
Sure.
So you're not only getting the SEO impact, but you're also getting the brand awareness of potentially tens of thousands, or depending on where the article sits, hundreds of thousands of eyeballs on that article, which mentions you as a subject matter expert. You're also getting referral traffic as well. So there's all these added benefits outside of just the SEO that makes this a really powerful part of your mix.
Great.
And I just wanted to go back to our example as well. So here's an example of where content really helps. So if you're doing content right, you don't often need to spend as much time, plugging away at journalist relationships, because you will kind of see on this example here that they've got 148 links to this page. So by doing a worthwhile piece of content, it makes it a lot easier to get that link building happening. And you kind of will get, essentially this article will get links for life. I mean, we're talking about it now. Someone else might go out and visit this page later. Potentially they might use it as an example. There'll be another link to that page. So really putting the effort into content, it really is that centerpiece of any SEO strategy now. So that checks off our link building. The last bit I wanted to talk through before we get into the engaging websites part was the remembering the technical SEO component. So these bits still definitely work, and some tips and a bit of an example on why this is really important. So why do it technical SEO? Because essentially the main reason is the bottom of our pyramid there. And if we can have the best content in the world and the best links and other signals, but if we don't make sure that the website is technically sound, then we won't be able to rank for what we're looking to rank for. So we could have the best content, best links, but Google can't read our website, so you're not going to rank. Or maybe there's the wrong flag, so you might have the wrong title tag, so Google doesn't give you a chance to rank for the things you want to rank for, and that's really, really important. The other reasons are because it's low cost. So comparative to creating content and getting those big links out there, it is really quite a low cost element. It's easiest to implement as well. So comparative to getting links from journalists, it's pretty simple. And the last bit is just remember, it is easiest to forget because it is kind of that old part of SEO that's not changing too much. It is often overlooked in favor of the big, juicy content marketing strategy. I wanted to come back to our gleaming example that we've touched on a few times there. So this is an element of where this article's really fallen down. So
just quickly, it's good on the links with 148.
Yeah.
It's good on the content.
Yep.
but it actually's got a bit of a problem with the technical.
Exactly. So this is where they've gone, oh, we've made this awesome piece of content, like everyone's talking about it. We've got thousands of Facebook shares. This is the, we've done really well. This restaurant's getting heaps of great publicity, all that kind of stuff. It's the most beautiful article we could ever imagine for this restaurant. Great, but they've forgotten the title tags. So, so there's a really great element here, and I've got an overleaf here, where we've got a bit of I've searched for the keyword Kachka reviews, which would obviously be something you'd normally search for. So you found a restaurant, you want to find out if it's worth going to. So this is often after the restaurant, keyword itself. Restaurant and reviews is usually the next probably most searched keyword, and you can see there I've got a bit of a screenshot of the search results page there. That article is nowhere to be seen. It wasn't even, when I was clicking through, it wasn't even on the third page for that search term.
Right.
So you can rest assured that this is probably the best insight you could possibly imagine for what it's like to go to this restaurant. So if I was looking for this restaurant, I'd want to see all this great content, of what it's really like to be there. The problem is they haven't included the little flag that Google's looking for, which is anything to do with reviews in that title tag. So Google really does still look for a bit of a flag or a bit of an indication to say, hey, I'm applicable for this keyword. You need to give me a chance to rank for it. You can see here the main thing that all these keywords have in common, except for the restaurant listing itself, is they include the word reviews or synonyms of, and at the end of this title tag is reviews, reviews, report, which Google is smart enough to know synonyms now, so it can figure out that report and reviews are pretty similar. And then review there. So there's really great potential here to attract a huge amount of organic traffic by having a crack at including that review in the title tag there, which they've completely decided not to do, which is possibly not the objective of this article. So that's possibly okay, but there would be a missed opportunity there by not focusing on that or remembering that small component. A little bit of a bonus technical tip there. What we're seeing at Reload at the moment is schema tags are becoming more and more important, and I'll cover that shortly. So relative click-through rate. So that's a rankings factor now, or what we've deduced to being a ranking signal. If Google sees more people clicking on number 2 than number 1, then that gives an idea of maybe number 2 should be in position number 1. So including things like star ratings, that kind of stuff that give the user an insight as to what this article is about, and it's going to give more insight around ratings or reviews, that kind of stuff is really powerful. So making sure you do use those schema tags and rich snippets will have a massive impact on your SEO at the moment. So that covers those 3 key elements of our pyramid there. So the last thing I wanted to touch on was how building an engaging website is actually probably your best SEO tactic now. So I was lucky enough to head off to MozCon in Seattle last year, and this is Rand Fishkin, who is that guru in SEO that I was talking about earlier. And one of the closing presentations was pretty much on the way that SEO is changing. And you can see there we've kind of got, if you're familiar with SEO, you've probably heard about all of this stuff before: keyword targeting, quality and uniqueness, making sure it's technically friendly, all that kind of stuff, the snippet optimization that I just talked about before, making sure it's compatible with mobile. Those are the things that SEO used to be primarily concerned with. Google's now has a machine kind of learning algorithm. So it does learn from user inputs. So if someone clicks on an article or a listing, and clicks back, that is something that Google takes notice of. And that is what Google then uses to think, well, maybe this shouldn't have been ranking number 1 or ranking number 2. Maybe that should be further down the list, which is what's being referred to there as the short versus long click stuff. The other thing is task completion success, which is a lot around usability and making sure that users, when they're searching for, say, a review, end up on a review page, which is exactly what that person might be wanting to see. So making sure that your website does fulfill the task that someone's actually you're hoping that people will land on for is really, really important. And I've got a great example here of some work we've done. You can kind of see there that with this, the first sort of shot on the left is of a website that had a fairly high drop-off rate. So people were coming to the site via organic traffic, via organic keywords, but they weren't finding that this website accurately completed the task that they were looking for. So what was happening was people were clicking back at a high rate there. You can see about 75% of people, so 3 in 4 people were heading back to the search result page. You can see the best ranking it was achieving when we first sort of touched this page was ranking number 5. We then kind of thought about, okay, if I was searching for this keyword that we're trying to rank for, that we're ranking number 5 for, what are the other people above us doing that kind of might be more successfully completing what that user's trying to achieve? So then we reversed engineered and realized, hey, okay, if we add a button that clearly links off to where we think these people will be able to complete their task more successfully, we might see some more people stay. And based on the stuff we were showing you on the previous slide, that should result in maybe a signal to Google that might increase rankings. So that's what happened. A button was added, a simple button, and that basically almost halved the number of people dropping away, and the more people going off to the other section on the site that we thought would better complete that task for them. So you can see there the very last part of that slide there, the rankings in December, number 5, in January, number 4, and then in February, number 3. So that usability element is really key, and that's why often getting a new website or revisiting the usability on your site is a really powerful tactic, and we are seeing this across a lot of clients. So if we make a recommendation for a website, often that is kind of the best SEO tactic you can implement now, because we are seeing across a lot of clients websites increasing their rankings by simply putting together a new and more usable website. Cool. So checking things off, making sure your content is relevant and engaging. That's really key. Relevancy is only one part of it, and that's what kind of old SEO used to focus on. Engagement's really key now. Making sure that your link building is not just focused on quantity but quality is another key take out there. Remembering that technical SEO still works is a really kind of a primary thing there, to make sure that your content and your links are doing some good. And then that overarching thing there, always consider your website. Is it engaging? Because if it's not, that could be your actual best SEO tactic, is getting a new and more user-friendly website. So I know we're about to jump into questions, but I figured this is probably a really key question if you've got any smaller businesses watching today that might get asked. What if I don't have a lot of money? Because I've just shown you a piece of content that probably would cost thousands of dollars worth of time to build. I've shown you some link building, which requires hours and hours of sitting there and building relationships with journalists. What is it that a smaller business can do to try and get checking some of these boxes? So the first thing, that killer content doesn't, or 10 times content doesn't have to be interactive. It doesn't have to be rich media. It doesn't have to be expensive. If you're in a smaller space, in a niche, you probably are better off just leveraging your unique knowledge to add value. So 10 times content can be content that's 10 times better for the reason that it's the most thought out and informative article. So that's definitely something, if you have that strength, if you are in a small sort of niche space, definitely using your own knowledge within the industry can be a really key, powerful way to check that box. Depending on your industry and competition, digital PR could be simply reaching out to thought-leading bloggers within your niche. So there'll be a lot of those mid-tier kind of bloggers that are around their websites will be around the domain authority of 40 to 50. They're probably kind of like you in the smaller business sense. They're possibly a one-person operation, and they would look for the help and the guidance and the information that you might be able to provide as a subject matter expert as well. And if you're a small website with a domain authority in the 20s or 30s, this could be a really key kind of leg up for you to get those kind of links that will have a great impact. Technical SEO, there's no shortcuts here, unfortunately, but it's often the most cost-effective part anyway. Generally, technical SEO is tried and tested enough to be able to get a clear picture of how much it costs. So there's generally no sort of unexpected surprises there. And then the last bit is engaging websites. So you probably don't need to invest in a new website strategy straight away. So there is an opportunity and there are ways to test to see if before you throw thousands of dollars at a new website, will I get a return on investment? There are tools out there like Instapage, which you can combine with AdWords to basically simulate the effect of creating a new website or trying a new layout or that kind of thing, and seeing how whether that results in an increased number of people staying on the page or inquiring whatever your website's goal is. So use AdWords to set up a small campaign and kind of test and learn if a new layout and website will actually help your digital marketing performance overall before committing to that whole website strategy. All right, so that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover.
That's great.
Basically over to questions now, or over to the audience, or over to Lou.
Yeah, thanks for that. Guys, in the right-hand side there, send through any questions that you might have. And in the meantime, I'm just going to load up a bit of an offer for everybody. If I can just get that, where is it? We're going this way. Here we go. We're on the wrong one. This is the 2016 Digital Marketing Toolkit. And you'll see here, there's a link to actually download it in the orange button. It's on your right-hand side of your panel there. So while we're getting the questions in, feel free to download and check it out. There's over 50 of the top digital marketing tools that we use, and some that actually really help SEO. So some of you might have seen that before, but yeah, feel free to download it. So as I said, put in any questions in the chat box on the right. Brendan, I've got a question for you. How can internal teams at clients' offices really help with SEO in 2016?
Yeah, it's a great question, Lou. I guess there's definitely ways to sort of help there. We do sort of partner with organisations, so this is not an uncommon sort of occurrence for us. But what we generally recommend is that they help out with the content production, or say keeping an eye on those digital PR opportunities. So any of those labor-intensive stuff, if you've got the internal resources, you should absolutely use them, and use maybe an agency to provide that strategic guidance. It's also with content, the really key thing about there is if you're wanting to create the best content in the industry, it often will come from someone within the business, or the information for that content will be informed by someone within the business. So leveraging that internal knowledge is often a really powerful approach, a great way to use this.
That's great. So collaboration is the key with SEO these days.
Absolutely.
Jonathan, thanks for that. And Ashton, thanks a lot. We'll go to Ashton first. Brendan, is there still a danger of keyword stuffing or using too many key SEO phrases?
I'm guessing by that, Ashton, you're probably asking, can I use too many keywords and will that negatively impact? From my knowledge, Google has definitely gone through with content sweeps before and tried to punish, say, thin content, so not enough content on a page, or not unique content, that kind of thing. I imagine that the negative user experience will become more and more of a concern for Google. However, because Google is a machine learning kind of algorithm, you can see if you do stuff a content page like the fire pits example we gave, you're going to end up with more people clicking back anyway. So it might not be a matter of Google, say, punishing you for dangerously overstuffing content, but it may not be you ranking in the first place because your content is so jarring and so difficult to engage with, that those other ranking signals, such as people clicking back and going, I don't want to read this, I don't want to read 50,000 mentions of the word fire pits, is going to have more of a negative detriment to SEO anyway. And that's possibly how Google will sort of expect that those sites will kind of disappear and keyword stuff content won't be a positive thing.
Okay, that's great. There's another question there, and while you're looking at the screen there, Brendan is the one second from left, sitting down, checking his iPad. So if you want to know who Brendan is there, and I'm not on that, I'm not on that reload slide, which is probably a good thing. So Jonathan, yes, actually, your first question, Jonathan, you've asked a very important question that a lot of people ask. Does AdWords, if you're doing AdWords with Google or SEM, search engine marketing, have an influence on your SEO? Brendan, it doesn't, does it? They're two separate algorithms.
Yeah.
People have tried to have a look at this over the years to see whether, if I spend more with Google, I'm going to rank higher for SEO. Any thoughts or comments on that particular question?
Yeah, I mean, to the best of what we've seen and what Google says is that it definitely doesn't have an impact on SEO. It won't negatively, say Google won't negatively, impact your organic rankings because they want you to spend on AdWords, and likewise they won't reward you like it's a bit of a bribe by giving you better SEO rankings by paying for AdWords. So they are very much two separate, kind of platforms, and there is a bit of a Chinese wall there. So it's definitely probably not an SEO strategy, I'd say. But having said that, AdWords is getting more and more competitive, and it should be part of your mix, your digital marketing mix anyway. Because you might be, nailing, say, ranking #1 for your brand terms. You might be ranking really well for industry-related terms, but you will still find competitors can easily displace you. The impact of, say, having a cluttered AdWords section at the top of an organic result is really quite powerful. And we have seen websites where we've improved organic rankings before, but because of the number of competitors coming into the industry paying for AdWords, they're physically being pushed down the page, and that improvement in organic hasn't resulted in the same kind of traffic and exposure we normally expect to see.
I think that answers a critical question about digital marketing as a whole. SEO and AdWords and search engine marketing are not silver bullets, are they? They've got to be done together,
yep,
as well as with social media marketing and general social media work to actually improve a site's or a business's visibility, isn't it? And SEO is not going to be the silver bullet, but it's a critical part of a greater strategy of your digital work.
Yeah, that's 100% it, and that's why and there's a few things we've alluded to in this presentation around the digital PR aspect. You shouldn't just be focusing on the SEO aspect anymore. It's not a quick win solution. You can't game Google. You still got to build a brand. So you've got to be doing all the other things out there as well that will impact the other aspects of your marketing and brand awareness, because Google won't allow you to fake it anymore. So digital PR is a great example there. You can do it for the SEO benefit, but think about the brand awareness aspects of doing that as well when you're sort of deciding whether it's a cost-effective option, and also the referral traffic and the other benefits that come with that SEO tactic too.
That's great. So before we sign off, if there's any other questions like Ashton and Jonathan, please pop them in. I've got one final question if there's no other questions. Brendan, how does social media assist or affect SEO? So what can you do from a social media aspect to assist in SEO? Just maybe your top tip.
Top tip for an SEO perspective. Okay, this is another thing where Google have said this doesn't impact SEO. There's a couple of reasons for that. The main one being that Google can't get an unbiased view of, or a balanced view of what's really going on in Facebook, for example, because parts of it are set to private, parts of it aren't, and also because it would result in people pretty much just trying to build links on Facebook or on other platforms. So often that's discounted for the direct SEO benefit. However, there is a bit of a cause and correlation thing here. So if you're doing, a great example is that page I showed earlier. It's got a lot of shares and it's got a lot of links on social, and it's got a lot of links from websites as well. And the two sort of work hand in hand, because you can imagine if you're doing social well and you're getting your content shareable and it is shared a lot, it gets in front of more eyeballs. You're going to get someone who's a blogger or a journalist at some point is more likely to come across that, and then there will be that causation or correlation effect where that ends up in a link. So it's pretty much no direct connection there. There's nothing you can really do to impact SEO directly. However, having that whole of marketing, it comes back to what you were saying earlier, there's no sort of silver bullet. You can't just do SEO in isolation. You can't just do social. Having that whole kind of strategy around your marketing, they will sort of leverage off each other and they will help achieve those individual objectives you're looking to tick off.
Okay, great. And thank you, Jonathan. Yes, what will happen is the system will automatically in the next couple of hours send you a link to a YouTube video that allows you to watch this instantly, pretty much. So you'll have access to all these slides and all the work that we've done today, hopefully in a bit more high res. So thank you very much for your questions. And thanks to Ashton as well for his question, and hopefully Greg got back on there as well. Please download the offer that we've got there, the 2016 Digital Marketing Toolkit. Brendan, thank you very much. That was a great 40 minutes, and thanks for assisting with SEO. And guys, if there's any further questions, reloadmedia.com.au. Yeah, thanks a lot again.
Thanks.
Cheers.